I'm just setting the logistics out here. Okay. So we'll move on. Move to the next. So I want you to look at these numbers. 82%, 77, 63, 68. What do you think these numbers represent? Any guesses? Salary, yes. It could be the increment of the salary percentages. It could be, what could it be? Yes? Depression, it could be one of those. It could be related to success rates. You don't know some market trends as well. But this is talking about a much more pervasive issue that we all are facing, or we all have seen it, near ones or dear ones or ourselves. As per the study from American Psychological Association, these numbers represent the percentage of people who are impacted by financial stress. So number of people who are impacted by financial stress, as you see, ages 18 to 34, 82% burdened with the financial stress. Not only that, but if you look at 45 to 64, people who are nearing retirement, even they are suffering from financial anxieties. So there is nobody out here, or most of them are suffering from this. These are not just mere statistics, but this is about real stories of sleepless nights, strained relationships, and foregone opportunities. So today, I'm going to talk about how this financial stress is impacting not only your wallet, but also your brain, your mind. And I'll also talk about certain things about a very simple model which can help you to shift your mindset from scarcity to abundance. So are you ready with me to listen to about it? Yes. So let's move on to the next one. Just imagine, you may know somebody, or it could be you, who is awake at 3 a.m., eyes wide open, thinking about bills that you have to pay, uncertain future. Maybe there are so many deadlines that you might have to work upon. Sounds familiar to all of you? Yes. So studies have shown that 87% of people report sleep disturbances because of financial stress. And it's not just limited to a bad night's sleep. Studies have also said that it increases the risk of heart diseases by 20%. So you better be careful. Now, it's not just impacting the individuals, but how many of you are here business people, entrepreneurs? I heard a lot of them, right? Yes. So keep in mind, studies have said that annually $300 billion is being impacted due to the financial stress that the employees are going through. Employees burnout, employee absenteeism, or reduced productivity. So that's a huge impact that this financial stress is having on each one of us out here. But as we progress further to the further part of the slide, what do you see on the screen? What is it? Brain, yes. We all have brain? No, there are a few who don't have, so you may ignore it, yeah? But our brain, on the left side of our brain, is a very important concept which is called as the prefrontal cortex, which is important for our rational thinking, decision making, and at the same time, planning for the future. But do you know what happens to our brain when we are under financial stress? When we are under financial stress, our brain sidelines this prefrontal cortex, which is important for rational thinking. It just pushes it away. The amygdala, which is the fear center, gets triggered in our brain. And the moment the fear center is being triggered in our brain, we are just thinking and thinking and thinking only about how can I come out of this situation that I'm into right now, the crisis that I'm into right now. And the moment you're thinking only about the crisis, your brain stops thinking beyond the crisis, beyond what's going to happen. And that is very, very, very important. According to the Princeton University study, the scarcity, whether it is about money, whether it is about time, or whether it is about resources, it reduces your cognitive functions by 13%. And not only that, but you get into the state of limiting beliefs where you start believing money is not easy, money does not grow on trees. How many of you believe that? Yeah, I see a lot of you raising hands. Money is not easy to grow. So that's, again, what this does is it re-emphasizes on your neural pathways, saying that, yes, you are into a scarcity mindset. Now, when you're into a scarcity mindset, you are all thinking about the current situation. You don't worry about what's happening in the future, what's going to happen, what are you going to do. So this leads to a lot more important aspect. So these worries are not just absurd worries that we all are having or you all are having. This is an epidemic of an health hazard. It is something very serious for your health. But there is a solution. How many of you want to know the solution? Yes, I can see the hands. Let's move on. It's called as the financial flow model. And as you see on the screen, the brain is glooming, glowing. And there are three aspects: a loving heart, a light bulb, and a shaking hand. So these are the three levers of the financial flow model. Now, what I'm talking out here, of course, there may be many more based on your experiences, but based on my experience that I have implemented in my life and into the life of my clients, is what I'm going to talk about here. So are you ready to listen to the first lever? Yes. Let's move on to the first lever. What do you see? Heart? Do you love this? It's a glowing heart in the hands, right? So it's all about gratitude. So gratitude is not just a feel-good factor. I know many of you think that what will happen when I just say gratitude, I do gratitude. How many of you are thankful for being here, and how many of you are thankful for the speakers that you have heard about? Yes, I see everybody. Wow, that's so nice. So the moment you get into the gratitude phase, there is a very important thing that triggers in your brain. It is the point of your brain or the region in the brain where emotions play a very important role. It regulates your emotions. It talks about the positivity. And that is called as the ventromedial prefrontal cortex. That's the scientific name. And when that has been triggered, you get into the state of moving from stressful thinking, from thinking about there is nothing, to a positive thinking and thinking about more solutions. So that's why gratitude plays a very important role. But does it work in the real life? Yes, I see a lot of you nodding. Thanks. Thank you. So I want you to think about at least one thing that you're grateful for right now in this moment. Just think about it. As we move on to this slide, you see here a beautiful lady. Just from privacy perspective, I would not name my client, but I'll just call her right now Jenny. Jenny, she is a single mother, a mother of 2 children, and she has a lot going on in her life. She was struggling with the finances, with her recent divorce, and children to be taken care of, not enough financial freedom, which means she did not have enough financial security to take care of all of these. So this financial stress led her to a lot of health issues. The moment we worked along with her doctors and also with her part of the work, the first thing that she started was about gratitude. And you know why gratitude? Because it helps to trigger that part of the brain which helps you to stop thinking the negative, the stressful thinking, move towards the positive, towards a solution focused. So a simple thing that Jenny implemented was that every day she wrote 3 things that she was grateful for. It could be as simple as her children's laughter or kindness that her neighbor did to her. So those aspects were very important for her to shift her life from stressful thinking to moving to the positive part of the life. And by continuous practicing, within 6 to 7 months, she was able to work and reduce her debts by 30%. And not only that, but also work towards saving for her children's education for her own part. But gratitude is not the only thing. Remember that. Gratitude is the first step which helps you to clear that fog and give you that path. So are you ready to take that path? Awesome. So as we move on to the next slide, you see here, what does this represent to you? Walking towards? Walking towards the light, yes. Now, when we are talking about this, walking towards the light, the first aspect or the second lever that I want to talk about is visualization. Visualization is the second lever which helps you to move from where you are to where you want to go. So visualization is the clear blueprint of success. It's not daydreaming. Remember that. Many of you confuse it with, oh, this person is daydreaming. Sheikh Chili. Anybody remember Sheikh Chili? Yeah, so I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is a deliberate action that you're taking for visualizing your future, the things that you want. Now, again, when we do visualization, what happens in your brain? 2 important regions gets activated. The first one is the motor cortex. I know I'm talking a little scientific terms, but important to know, because what I'm saying is not just anything, but it is scientifically proven. So when we talk about visualization, the motor cortex, which is important for planning physical actions. So just visualization won't work. You need to do physical actions. But when you visualize, motor cortex helps you to define your physical actions. And the second part is the prefrontal cortex. Now, what does prefrontal cortex do? It is involved to helping you for focusing and decision making. So just visualization is not going to help. You need to take actions. You also need to decide, and you also need to focus. Now, visualization, does it work? We have seen our earlier speakers talk about how things have helped them in terms of manifestation, in terms of taking things forward. Now, here is one important aspect that I want to say. Visualization is being used by almost all the successful athletes, entrepreneurs, businessmen, because they visualize their success and then they work towards the actions. Now, let me talk about, as we move on to the next one, a very important example in the real life. How many of you have heard about X, the moon factory? Nobody. But let me tell you, this was formerly Google X, but now it is known as X, the moon factory, and they have a very interesting concept called as moonshot thinking. Now, what does that moonshot thinking talk about? It talks about visualizing radical solutions to the global challenges. Now, when you visualize, virtually map the radical solutions to the global challenges, it activates the motor cortex for physical actions and prefrontal cortex for focusing and decision making. So at the Moon X factory, they have worked towards coming up with the solutions like self-driving car, the internet beaming balloons, all of it, because they were able to visualize the end goal in detail and then work towards detailed chronological steps for achieving their end goal. So that's where the power of visualization helps in, and it has been implemented, used by almost all the successful people that I have read about. And as we move on to the next one, the third important lever that we are going to talk about, as you see here, we are talking about hands shaking between, and the connections between 2 people, 2 hands. It is accountability. Have you ever felt about that when you talk about your goals to your near and dear ones, how does that make you feel? You really feel accomplished. You really feel very good about it, right? Now, what happens during this time when you're talking and when you're sharing about your aspirations to the people around? Again, your brain activates a very important region, which is oxytocin. Now, what oxytocin does, it enhances the feelings of trust and motivation. So when trust and motivation is enhanced, you feel accomplished, and studies have shown that when you share about your goals to people around, you are guaranteed to achieve your results 65%. But when you have regular discussions, regular check-ins, regular brainstorming with people around, the same results reach to 95%. So are you interested to get your results to 95% in achieving what you want? Awesome. So that's where accountability plays a very, very important role in terms of things. Now let's look at how these three things of the three levers that we're talking about, gratitude, visualization, and accountability, picture from a bigger perspective. So as we move on to the next slide, this is just an example of how things have helped me in my life, because when I started off my career, when I started off my own part of the things, I started, of course, I had not started off with gratitude immediately because I had gone through the turbulences in my own life in terms of finances, in terms of health, and I was kind of not able to figure out what has to be done. I got a mentor who said that, okay, you need to start looking at your own self, and we have heard our previous speakers where we said about look within. When we started looking into within is where I got a path, reading various books, studying various mentors, where the gratitude, the visualizations, and the accountability has helped. But how does it fit into the bigger picture as we move on to the next one? Now, when we look at from the bigger picture perspective, can you just imagine if families start talking about gratitude? How would it be? They start being grateful for things that are around them. It will create strong bonds. And when you take it to the community, and when you take it to the world, there will be more stronger bonds that will be created with gratitude. And as we have seen, that bigger organizations have implemented visualization. So if you want to bring in innovative thinking in your organization or at your home or within you, visualization is the key. And to build that trust, to build that motivation, accountability is the thing. So just imagine a world where we implement this gratitude, this innovative thinking through visualization and accountability to build the trust and motivation within the community. So I want you to leave with the thought that small shifts in your brain create big shifts in your life. And abundance does not lie in your wallet, it lies in your mind. So I want you to now think of that one small shift that you want to bring in within you, which will have the ripple effect around your society, around your community, around this whole world. Thank you.